Now that we've got everything in and glued, we've done a little bit of initial sanding just to get some sand in the green, kind of weight it down and stabilize it and try to get some wrinkles out. It's a really hot day again today. I think about 102. What we're trying to do is sand in, broomed in, and then we're going to with the double drum asphalt roll. Now, we've had a lot of work going on around rocks, decorative rocks, boulders, some pine straw around the outside edging in case he hits a bit short. A lot and what that's caused, and they've got some play and stuff on it. So we've got some debris on, and so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run a power broom because I want to A, get the debris off of it, and then B, I want to agitate the up a little bit so it makes it more receptive to receiving the wonderful infill sand that we're going to be putting in. So let me grab my power broom and get this clean. Might be a little hard to hear me here, but this is this 55 yard nylon broom attachment. So I run it. It does have a wheel option on it, but I just like to let it float and kind of run on its own weight. Tends to get a little bit better. So I'm going to make a few passes. All right, now that we've got it cleaned off and these fibers agitated and opened up, next thing we're going to do is use our Scott's drop spreader. You can get these at Lowe's, Home Depot, typically any lawn and garden supply store like an Ace. What this is, it's about an 18-inch wide, 20-inch wide wheel, if you will, that does an even drop distribution. Drops the sand in an even layer all the way across, because they have that doesn't give you even distribution. You want to be able to control the flow coming out. It has an adjustable flow control here, and you just want to make sure that it comes out evenly, because you might get in areas where there's too much sand. You can't see it in the turf, and it builds up, and when you step on it, you'll feel the hump with your foot, but visually you can't see it. So it's important to make sure the distribution's even all the way through. Now, when sanding a green, what I like to do is when you engage it, you start off the green, engage it, walk onto the green, and then as you get past the green, you push past the green, and then you release it. Now, sometimes when there's a lot of sand in it, you have to give it an assist and kick the bottom black flange closed so that you don't continue to dump sand. Pro tip, a lot of guys like to do this. They put the sand in it, they engage it, and they go around like this. Now when they do that, you're essentially pivoting the machine, or the tool here, and you're getting a lot of sand distributed just in that short fan pattern, way more than any place else. And then if you do that repeatedly here, and you keep doing it, what you do is you dump twice as much sand on the outside edge than you get anywhere else. And you'll get a lot of sand buildup on the edge, and you'll see it, it's very noticeable. So pro tip, straight lines, off the green, release, kick it closed, to engage it again, off, onto the green, and then off the green again. So we don't have to put as much sand in today, but I'm going to show you how we put it in. What you want to do is you run several rows vertical, and then you can turn around if you want, and then run 7 rows or several rows horizontal in a crosshatch pattern. And then we're going to take our broom and we're going to broom them in. So stay tuned. All right, now we're gonna start doing our infill with the product. So what we're using is Syn-Turf infill product. They come in different sizes: a 1220 green, a 1630 green black. Here it's just 1630 green. The granule sizes, they work as a gauge, meaning the lower the number, the larger the aggregate size. So the 1220, 12 is pretty large, and so it's the diameter. So if this is a 12, when we start getting into a 30, a 45, or 60, the higher the number, the smaller the gauge. So this particular green, since it's a kind of more of an open, if you will, this particular Shopmaker product, it's almost an inch tall, and the fibers are more vertical, but intertwined, and they open up more versus some of the other products, which might only be a 35-ounce texturized poly product, where it's more of a finer mesh together, and it's harder to get the sand granules in. So that's when you'd want to use a much smaller smaller granule size, higher gauged infill product. So this one will handle 16 just fine. And so what I like to do is just, obviously this will stay closed when it's not, the handle's not depressed. And so what I'll do is I'll the bag over, my knife, slice it open, and just be careful. I am filling the hopper up off the green, not on the green. So we'll open that up and out, and here you can kind of see the bag, the Wonderfill in the 1630. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll start dropping in some of these bags, and you can see the application. Now you'll be able to see once you leave. So I'm in the middle, but I start from the outside. So like I said, engage off the green. Continue past, and then I kick it closed. Now I can see my path, which is not very lineal, but it's okay. So I'll just line my tire, because the tire sits on the outside, and then what I'm lining up is the hopper with my next line. So I start engage off the green, and I just run right next to the path that I had put in previously. Disengage, kick it. Now I should be able to get probably 3 passes, possibly. Okay, so that was my 3rd pass, and here's my 4th. Now it doesn't matter how fast you go, because this is actually one of the wheels drives the paddle underneath. And so the faster you go, it just means that it's still coming out, just comes out fast, because the paddle wheel is pushing the sand out. So go ahead and put the rest of these bags in, how to broom. All right, now that we got all of our sand in, we're going to start brooming. Now, this is a pro tip, and if you can get your hands on one of these, I highly recommend it. This is it's a pine straw broom. This is actually natural pine straw. It's pretty stiff, and the reason why I like this, this I actually picked up at Ace, but if you can get your hands on these things, they're worth their weight in gold. The reason why I say that is that we need to be able to broom in or brush in and agitate the sand into the fibers. So what happens if you use a synthetic material against a synthetic material, it starts to generate and build up static electricity. So what that does, it charges the fibers and the sand, and it just doesn't want to go in. It'll literally stick to the fibers. It'll stick on top. You can almost put your hand across it or wave it, you're not even touching, you'll see everything kind of move, and that's just because of the static electricity that's built up. So what I really like is using the pine straw broom, because it just doesn't build up static electricity, especially on days like, because we're here in North Florida, we get a lot of storms that come through. We obviously have a lot of lightning storms, so we do have a lot of static electricity in the air. So I really like these. They're inexpensive. So definitely pick yourself up some of these. Now you can still use a stiff bristled synthetic nylon broom. That works really well as well. But again, what it does is it builds up static electricity. So if you're doing two different colors of sand, like you're doing a lighter colored sand first, like a tan or white, just because it costs less than doing it all straight green sand, especially any of your synthetic acrylic coated sand, then you're going to have problems mixing the two colors because you just can't get that first color to want to get in all the way. Watering it sometimes does help, but not always. So if that happens and you're forced to use that, you can't get a pine straw broom and you got to use a nylon broom, a stiff one, then a pro tip is you take fabric softener. There's a anti-static cling fabric softener. You can mix a capful and dilute it with about 2 gallons of water and get one of the sprayers. And you can go through and you can spray down the whole area and eliminate the static electricity. That way, let it dry and then go in and apply your sand. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start brooming this in, and you can kind of see the pattern that I'm going to work in. And I apologize for the background noise. Obviously, we're on an construction site here trying to get this project done. So what I want to do, I'm kind of working a little backwards here, but you're going to broom back and forth in maybe working a 2 or 3 foot space area. When you push forward, you're pushing some of the ball forward. As you do that, you just want to put it down and drag it back. So what I really love about this Shopmaker product of ours is that the sand really just goes right into it. So this larger aggregate, and I mean, I'm applying any pressure. I mean, look, ended going right in. So I really love this putting green product of ours. It just the same. So control area. I'm not going back and forth, back and forth. I'm trying to keep sand distribution, if you will, consistent. So I'm not filling up sand too much in one area and not enough in others. So I'm just working in some smaller controlled areas, if you will. Now, this is not exactly the fun part of the job. It's very necessary. So you want to make sure you take your time and do it properly. Now, you can see what I'm doing is, rather than trying to push from up here, and obviously I'm 6'5", so it creates a little bit of a problem being this high. So rather than trying to push and I'm creating a downforce, I want to try and reduce that angle of the broom so that the fibers are all in line and I'm not putting too much pressure on the front or the back. So I'm just here, you'll see, and that's what you do it one-handed versus up here. So again, 6'5", tall guy problem. Hunched over for this amount of time doing breaks between. People help you. That's why it's a good idea to pick up several of these so that this goes a lot faster. Now you're saying, well, why don't we go ahead and just use the power broom? And I would say, hey, that's great. It saves a lot of time, but what that's going to do is just throw that sand everywhere. All that time you spend, that power broom is just going to just cast it all out. So you really just wasted all that time. So I guess just pro tip, bite the bullet, spend the time that's necessary to put this in properly, because it's going to make all the difference at the end when it comes time to finish the green up, the customer's putting on it. You want to have that consistent ball roll and not chatter and skip and bounce all over the place, or the ball diverts its course because you just didn't take the time to put the sand in properly. All right, we're at the stage where we are going to roll the green. Now, there's a lot of different items you can use to roll a green. The most common is a poly water drum roller. The downside to that is it only weighs 300 pounds filled up. And your time spent on the green is going to be multiplied tenfold. I mean, you're going to spend hours and hours with that. However, that's inexpensive and it's easy. It's just a matter of your time. Then you start stepping up from there with steel drum rollers. This particular one is fantastic. It's a rental. It's a Wacker-Neuson RD7. It weighs approximately 1,500 pounds. There's 2 steel drums, and it's forward and reverse. Turns just with some slight pressure up there on the handle, but this one's perfect because, again, it weighs about 1,500 pounds. It's not too heavy. They do have a ride-on version. You can get those at a rental yard, and they can weigh, right around 2,500 pounds. And those ones can be a little bit too heavy, because if you're using with the green with this particular product, where we've got a 5mm foam padding underneath it, that actually gives some cushion and some give, and then you've got the turf on top. So it can create like a little roll or wave from the extreme weight on it. So just kind of a pro tip, you want to make sure that you clean the drums off really good. We've already cleaned this, and they've got some guards on there that help scrape and keep mud off, but we've already gone through, we've cleaned this, and we've washed off any rust just to make sure that we don't get any on the green. So stick with us. We're going to go ahead and get this fired up, and we're going to start rolling this green here. And the important thing to remember is you want to roll this for a good couple hours, even with this machine. And what you're looking to do, you're going to roll it from all angles, vertical and lateral and diagonal, and we just want to hit it from all directions. And when you start to see a sheen, or the reflection, I'm sorry, if you will, where the turf starts to get a little shiny, that's because the blades are now laying down flat and you're getting some reflection of the sun. That's when you know you're flattening out the blades enough. We've rolled this a little bit, and we're going to roll it again here, and then we'll throw the ball on it a little bit so you can see how the chatter's been almost completely eliminated, and it rolls beautifully. Now, I'm going to keep the RPMs down pretty low so that you can kind of hear me talk, because it does get pretty loud. And I'm going pretty slow just because I want to be able to talk and explain. So what we're doing is you kind of lean with the upper arm here. It doesn't act like a steering wheel. It doesn't have a lot of give, but you're just applying some pressure, and you're basically moving the machine a half of an inch while it's rolling. And so that's how you're able to get it to move. So I came at this diagonal. Now I'm going to go forward, and I'm just going to lean to this side, and now I'm going to straighten out. So again, I'm just going to do a bunch of vertical runs here, then I'll do some diagonals, and then I'll do some laterals. I just want to hit this from all directions. Now I'm going to go up the green a little bit. And again, I'm not trying to turn the whole item because I don't want it to catch and then try and pull on the turf. So I'm just moving it a little bit. Now you can see, I mean, I'm coming at quite a bit of an angle now rather than being just vertical. But so plan on spending quite a bit of time rolling a green, because you really got to get it from all directions, and you really want to flatten the blades out, because that's what's going to reduce the chatter on the green. And the chatter is when the ball rolls across it and it's skipping. And it seems like it's hitting a bunch of these little invisible bumps, and really what it's doing is hitting the sand, it's hitting the grass fibers that are sticking up.